Hello everyone, my name is Kenton Kvestu. I'm an ex-Googler and ex-BCG consultant and the founder of Rocketblocks, an online platform that helps candidates prepare for interviews. In today's Rocketblocks mini lesson, we're going to be talking about product management interviews, and specifically we're going to talk about technical questions. Now this is the third in this series. We talked about product questions, product sense, product strategy questions in the first video. We talked about analytically oriented questions in the second video. And in this video, we're going to focus on technical questions. And the format will be very similar. We'll spend the first section talking about what are the different flavors of technical questions, what type of companies ask them, and then we're going to throw out a sample technical question. And then in the next section, we're going to jump into the mindset of the interviewer. We're going to think about if this particular technical question was asked, what is the interviewer going to be asking him or herself as they're watching the candidate answer this question? So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, let's start by talking about the types of technical questions that come up in these interviews. And I think there's two main types we want to talk about. The first is the pseudocode technical question. And this is the type of technical question where you're actually asked to write some pseudocode on the board or maybe design an algorithm to do X, where X might be something like, hey, design an algorithm to detect meeting conflicts for a calendar app. So that's one type of technical question that you might face where you're actually forced to sort of think through and explain some of the logic and how you would actually write the code to do that. Then the other common type is the technical explainer question. And this is where the candidate is asked to explain some sort of technical concept with a good amount of detail to the interviewer. So the common sort of prototypical question here is, explain to me how the internet works. And then the candidate is asked to explain what happens when a user types a URL into a browser address bar. So those are the two common types of questions. Now, I think it's worth talking about what type of companies ask these questions for product management candidates, because it is not all companies. And importantly, I think the trend is moving towards less technical requirements for product managers, as a lot of companies have realized that product management is truly this cross-disciplinary role, and it's not just about having someone that is really, really technical. It's part of the job, but it's not the only thing they need to be proficient at. So with that said, the companies that still, of the big companies, the ones that still index toward using technical questions the most are probably Google and Microsoft, who there's still a decent amount of sprinkling of technical questions in their interview processes. A company like Amazon, it's a lot less frequent, and Facebook, for example, has even said, we're not going to test technical ability explicitly in our product management interviews because we don't think it's a key criteria for success in the actual role. And now let's think about a sample technical question that you might face in an interview. So imagine you are a PM at DoorDash, the popular food delivery app, and you've been asked by your director to prepare a training for all of the non-technical executives at DoorDash about exactly how the app and the service works. And they want you to explain what exactly happens from the moment a customer opens the DoorDash app until they actually get food delivered at their front door. And where is the technology embedded at every step of the way, and how does it work? Okay, so that's the question that we're going to think about. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the next section, and we're going to put ourselves into the mindset of the interviewer and think about what questions are they asking him or herself as they're evaluating a candidate answer that question. Okay, now let's put ourselves in the mindset of the interviewer. The first key question they're going to be asking themselves is, can this candidate communicate effectively with the engineering team? And they're going to be specifically thinking about, does the candidate know enough about sort of the architecture of a technical product? So are they comfortable talking about the front end versus the back end and the database, even if they're not an expert in the particular front end technologies or back end technologies that are being used? Can they talk about the whole system as a whole and how information moves through that system? So that's the first thing. The second thing they're going to be thinking about is, does the candidate have a sense of the product implications of technical decisions? So even though they're not an expert in all the technologies that are going to be used, they understand if the engineering team decides to do X, what that means for the product. So for example, if the engineering team is building something and they decide that they're going to put the logic for it, say, on the front end in the mobile app versus the server, does the product manager understand the implications of that and what it's going to mean for changing that feature in the future and rolling it out to all users, which is always a little more complicated if you put it into the mobile app on the client side. So that's the second thing. The third thing they're going to be looking at is, can this candidate earn the trust of our engineering teams? And to some extent, that answer will depend on if they communicate effectively and understand product implications. But there's also other aspects to that as well about, is the PM going to be a good partner with the engineering team? Do they ask the right questions? When working with engineers and thinking through problems, are they going to be a good collaborative partner, or are they too dismissive of engineering or not interested in engaging at all? There's a lot of interaction between product managers and engineers on the job day to day. And so that is really a big question that the interviewer is going to be thinking about. Then finally, there's one fourth question, which is conditional depending on the type of product management role that you're interviewing for. If it is a very specific technical role, so this might be something like, say, managing the third-party APIs for DoorDash, where the candidate really would have to have some specific technical proficiency to be able to do that. In those cases, teams will often ask technical questions that relate to that specific topic to make sure the candidate isn't going to be in above their head in those areas. Okay, one last thought I want to leave you with when thinking about technical interviews. If you think about product management, the job, and what PMs are doing on a day to day basis, they're never actually writing code for the production apps they work on. And if you ask and survey 100 product managers, 99 of them will say they never wrote code for the production apps that they actually worked on. So asking technical questions in these interviews is really not about sussing out whether this person can write code or not. It is really a question about, does this person speak the language of our engineering team? Are they technically fluent enough to collaborate successfully with the engineering team? So it's really about, can this person partner with them? Will they understand them? And that's really the secret, I think, to thinking about technical questions in PM interviews. So thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of great content coming out weekly on both the product management and consulting career path. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so below. There is a big red button right there. And that means you'll get all our content as soon as it comes out. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.